The United States flag will be presented by the Navy Medical Center Color Guard. Color Guard, advance the colors.
Left, face, crease and arm.
And the national anthem will be performed by American Flyboys. Hope you have a full battery.
Earlier when the Flyboy Band was playing the national anthem, I had to think for a moment and think back to a time in our history during the War of 1812 when we were at war with England. We were a young start-up country and we were being told that we were going to be slapped into shape. And in 1814, right after they had the raid on Alexandria, Virginia, and then had went and burned the White House, the British fleet assembled in the Baltimore harbor. And while they were assembling, waiting on a battle, a 35-year-old attorney went out to the flagship and, under orders from the president, and was being allowed to do this, he went to try to negotiate the release of a prisoner who was a doctor from Alexandria who'd been taken prisoner by the British. And realizing during the War of 1812, more U.S. soldiers died on prison ships than died in battle. So it was not a very good place to be. So he went to negotiate, and so he sat down that night with the captain and the admiral, the rear admiral that was over the fleet, while they were having dinner, and he tried to negotiate with them the release of this doctor. Well, as they were talking and as they were negotiating, people kept walking in talking about plans for the upcoming battle. So when they were done negotiating, this young attorney was told, "You've heard too much. We will not let you go until after the battle because you know too much about the battle plans that you've heard. So you have to stay on the ship." So this 35-year-old attorney had to stay on the ship and watch during the battle. But they promised him something. They promised him that the fort that they were getting ready to bombard, that they were going to level it, there would not be a single person left when they were done with battle. and that flag that was flying over it would be destroyed. Just as they were going to destroy this nation that had dared to stand up to tyranny, this young upstart country, and they were going to teach it a lesson. So that 35-year-old attorney, whose name was Francis Scott Key, stood there on that ship, and all night, as he would watch as the rockets would fly over to Fort Henry and try to see, and everyone would ask, is the flag still there? And when morning finally broke, they were able to see that that flag was still flying over Fort Henry. That although there had been many that had been killed defending that from that bombardment, that those soldiers did not give up, would not give up, and stood for this country, stood for that flag. And even though they'd been promised that that flag would be destroyed, you can today go to the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C., and that flag is still on display because it was never taken down in defeat. That is the legacy that we have of men and women who have laid down their lives for this country. And I have the honor of bringing forward a group of individuals that even after their time in service have continued for the last 20 years serving in an entirely different capacity. And that is the 82nd Airborne. If I could have them, please, the members of the 82nd Airborne. Yes, please come forward. Have you right here? We're going to do presentation. These individuals and the ones that have served with them through the years, for 20 years, have served servicemen and made sure that servicemen, no matter what, that they were given the dignity of a serviceman's send-off upon their internment. They have been there in every way to volunteer, and this has all been volunteer on their part for 20 years. And everything from presidential campaigns, both of George W. Bush, also Barack Obama. You take a look, Super Bowl, Little League events, whatever it has been, they have been there to present on behalf of the men and women of the armed forces, remembering what so many have sacrificed for. We want to honor these individuals for what they have given to our country and to our community for that 20 years of service beyond service, and letting people know the pride that we have in the men and women of the armed forces and those who have sacrificed their life, sacrificed their time, sacrificed their families all too often for the sake of honoring this country. And we thank you for that.